From the studios of TvGrace International, here are the ineffable words of God. The gospel of grace on the lips of the man Christ Jesus. Abba, Father.
Well then, let's get to the point. Psalms 58 verse 3. The wicked have turned away from the womb. You are aware that since the womb, from the womb, God has chosen us, as mentioned in the book of Isaiah chapter 46. And I think for the sake of those who are not here, let's look at the two verses for you to see. But you try to memorize. I get that you have a good memory and that you will remember the comparison. Yes? Look, the wicked have turned away from the womb. These who speak lies go astray from birth. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf cobra that stops its ear, which will not heed the voice of charmers, charming ever so skillfully. They are. There is a type of deaf snakes which will not heed the voice of charmers they don't hear. Thus, these people are the ones who, when you mention the word to them, are occasionally Christians. And you say, look, and you demonstrate it, it states, kindly make a comparison of this particular verse. When we mention that there is no concept of sin, it often offends people. They argue, how is that possible? I personally know many individuals, including myself, who have committed sinful acts. What they do not understand. In front of God, God has eliminated sin. Yet, for you and for others, for everyone, sin still exists. What the law called sin. By removing the law, it cannot dominate anyone. The law cannot dominate even the same wicked sinner because the law's purpose is Christ. Christ has put an end to that. So, as far as God is concerned, that department that was in the heavens keeping track of sin, that department has been destroyed. So if you send a letter saying, I saw this person committing a sin, they will redirect it back to you. You'll get a reply that says that office doesn't exist anymore. Those who think they are sinners today are mistaken. Therefore, those preachers who say if Christ comes and finds you in sin, how is he going to find you in something he himself removed from the way? So those people have no ear from the womb. And there is nothing the mother can do about it. It is heartbreaking for a mother to have a child who is deaf. And not deaf from suffering deafness, but deaf to the word. You cannot do absolutely anything. And God acts as he wishes. Just think Eve, the mother of us all, as they say. The first one to have the first baby. And what fault does she have that a Cain and an Abel come out of her womb? Did she make that decision? It is not. Thus, you have to deal with the truth that God offers. Never impose your opinion. Seek God's opinion, which is the best. Because some people talk too much. When conversing with people around, they often say, well, I think. It's striking how laid back they are in saying, I think. And who are you to have thoughts? I believe it should be like what I think. I firmly believe that God should save the good individuals and condemn the bad ones to eternal damnation in hell. Nonsense. You surely know individuals converse based on their logical reasoning. But from the womb, notice those who move away from the womb. Those who separate sometimes are the best people in the world. Sometimes they are respected people in society. Go tell them about the gospel. And she's a pretty good person. Now tell that bandit over there about the gospel, since he might have misbehaved or whatever. He will express gratitude and accept it. Therefore, what is most beneficial for God? The one who believed, because it comes from faith. Let's look at Isaiah 46, so you can notice the difference between those who separate from the womb. And I always find those verses captivating and meaningful, and I truly hope that you do too, as they hold a great significance. You memorize them, you keep them in mind. Isaiah chapter 46, verse 3 and verse 4. Listen to me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, who have been upheld by me from birth, who have been carried from. And what does it say of the wicked? As the other verse said, it said, the wicked are turned aside from the womb, and these are carried away. It implies that God shows favor to certain individuals. Go and tell that to a religious. God is a respecter of persons. God makes distinctions between the two types of seeds. With his own, it's different. But with the devil's seed deeply embedded in it, there exists a significant separation. Hey, check out what he says. Let's revisit Psalm 58, please. Focus on verses 1 and 2. Look at how the minds of these people are because of verse 3 to 5 identifies that the wicked from the womb are separated because it identifies who they are. But this is their conduct when they are grown. Look, do you indeed speak righteousness, you silent ones? Do you judge uprightly, you sons of men? No, in heart you practice injustice. What was it talking about there? South Beach or a congregation? Please replay the initial verse. Observe, who is talking? It's someone speaking to the church. Those people who get involved and live in the churches. That's the little priest, the one you really like. The little priest with the cross on his neck is in the congregation. Now, does he judge? Does he judge rightly? Is the gospel open? No. So look here. Oh, gathering, hello. He's not talking about Sodom and Gomorrah. No, it's, oh, congregation. That's where those folks are. For this reason, this ministry needs to continue progressing, revealing all those congregations that exist. We have an obligation to do it. If we do not, it has not been accomplished by anyone else thus far. It is our responsibility to disclose this information. O congregation of revival, O gathering of the last days, congregation of Mount Sinai. They are everywhere in Miami. Wherever you go, there's one of those kiosks. And step inside so you can witness what they discuss. You won't hear the gospel in that place. It mentions, and there's a question, do you indeed speak righteousness, you silent ones? Is that exactly what you are preaching? Do you judge uprightly, you sons of men? No, in heart, in the mind. What's up? On earth you clear away for the violence of your hands. Then it says the wicked have turned away from the womb and identifies them. Why are they like that? Because from the womb they are destined for wickedness. I wish the quantity were lower, but it seems there are numerous. It seems there are many wicked people. It appears that there are numerous groups. Actually, there are quite a substantial number of them. That's why the Lord is coming, to clarify what is hidden in the darkness. What is clarifying the hidden from the darkness? The ignorance in the mind. And what is my work to clarify? Yes, I clarify. I'm telling you that in the congregations there are wicked people. That's what I'm saying. I am mediating, saying to you, not everything that shines is gold. They say out there, all of the paths that God guides you on lead to the same destination. Instead, I would say that every pathway in existence ultimately leads to Rome. There they do get to, but not to God. God has only one way, and it is a door. He once said, I am the door, Jesus stated, because there were many other doors in those days. And today he returns and says, yeah, This is my door. The ministry growing in grace, this is the door. And I tell you why, look, there are ministries over there. Now they are supposedly ministries of grace. Yes, because they copy everything. A new phone comes out, and then the other companies copy it. A new drink comes out, and they just keep copying. The drinks too, right? Everything is copied. All is copied. Now there are grace ministries, international ministries of grace, apostolic ministries of grace, and now there is the ministry of grace. However, they disagree with us. When they learn from us, they say, hold on a second, let's make an adjustment to this mobile device. Look, it's pretty much the same, but the engine in this car has 2 extra cylinders, and I'm not sure what else it has, but it's still the same. So in order for their product to stand out from this one, they make some modifications. They are unaware that a little leaven damages the whole lump. You can't do that here. Here, either you are with me or you are with no one. I must talk like this. I have seen that whoever is not with me is not in anything. It's better they go to the law to draw over there. But this is the path that God established. The gospel. I had never seen anyone preach what I preach. Never. Neither in English nor in Spanish. I've asked in other languages and they say, no, no. This seed doesn't get it. Even if you explain it a lot. It says that no matter how skilled the charmer may be, he picks up his flute and places it there, and then the snake begins to dance gracefully. And he begins playing the flute, and the snake only seeks to bite him. It does not dance. At present, there are other snakes that seem enchanted because they appear to be carried away by the melody. The charmer tirelessly plays the flute to enchant the snake, but her resistant nature prevents her from being captivated, leaving his lips sore from the effort. Because you see, we explain this thoroughly to people. Pay attention that we do not raise our voices. We are not like those preachers, you know. Have you seen them? I don't know if you've noticed, but they read a verse from the Bible, right? And they say, so says the Lord, and they start shouting and they keep scolding people for 45 minutes. And they aren't searching for a single Bible verse. We are here relaxed. We even have that board for you to read the verses on in case your Bible gets left at home, you know, to allow you to examine, to perceive, and to gather evidence, to do justice. That question they ask them doesn't really affect me. Oh, congregation, do you do justice? If they ask me that, I say, well, I'm sure I do justice, I'm telling the truth. But they can't do that, so. Take a look at what it says in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 5. Second letter from Paul to the Corinthians. It's not 2 Corinthians, it's the second epistle of Paul to the Corinthians. The only ones who spoke like that, 1 Peter, because it was Peter. 1 John, since it was John writing. It wasn't God. It was John writing. Look at that. Hey, how nice that is. See, only God's seed can do that. The honest one, isn't it? When there is honesty, you say, I am the one who is wrong. It's true. Even if it hurts you a little and you disguise it a bit. But in the end you say, look, it was really me, you know? Because some individuals have difficulty accepting blame for personal reasons. But it says, examine it yourselves. Avoid confessing to a priest at all costs. It's you. And you don't have to call me or anyone. Don't you have the ability to examine yourself? You can't just sit there and assess yourself saying, hold on, I'll make sure to examine myself. When I've been asked, doesn't it bother you to deceive so many people? But here it's one of two things. Either I'm doing right or I'm doing wrong. No middle. Like those preachers who mention balance, they say, Jose Luis is right, but he's unbalanced. We need to have balance. And what is a balance? Well, a balance means there is no sin. But don't say that because people might use it for another purpose. But what's the truth? There's no sin. So let's be honest. And if someone uses that in another way, we ensure they become aware of it. You can even sing it to them. Well, I am an extremist here. The whole ministry. We are extremists. We are not balanced. We are extremists in everything. If this is true, then it is true. We will talk about it and look into it to check. It says, examine yourselves. Hey, that's powerful. This information impacts if you are feeling unwell. Don't anyone stand up now, otherwise we'll think you took it personally. If you need to use the bathroom, please be patient for a short while, because they'll think badly of you now. Examine yourselves to see if you are in what? Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Jesus Christ is right next to you? Where? If you say to me, Apostle, I'll wait here next to my car. I say, okay. But if you tell me, Apostle, I'll wait for you in the car. Where are you? In the car. That's what it means. Jesus Christ is not at your side. No, what happens is that the Lord goes with me. The Lord is my co-pilot. The Lord helps me. What's the Lord to you? May the Lord be with you. Will He be with me? He doesn't have to be with me. He's within me. I am always accompanied. Jesus Christ is in you. Therefore, a profound question arises. Look, except ye be reprobates. Do you know what reprobate is? Quality control. Quality control. Those shops where we sometimes go, where the shirt is cheap and then the label reads disqualified. But if you see it well, only from an airplane can you see that it has a line outside. In shoe factories, a similar process occurs with the shoes. You can observe a worker as they start to categorize the shoes. Although they are identical, the worker proceeds to separate them, some going one way and others going the other way, and so on. He categorizes them into groups, and a portion departs. Now they are charging you double for these shoes, and these were not approved. But sometimes it's a minimal seam, a small seam. If you encounter someone with crossed eyes, it won't be noticeable. But that sometimes doesn't show. Now, there are people who like quality and they say, I want first quality, right? First quality. Put on the verse again. Look, it's so pretty. 5. Memorize it. Second letter to the Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves. You know that when I am accused of deceiving or not deceiving, I examine myself. I have had colleagues from the system who have come to visit me with good intentions. And then they told me, hey, Jose Luis, it's impossible, man, that you are against the current and that you now say that you have the truth. And I say, but what's the problem with having the truth? Can't a person have the truth? God divides the truth, giving a small part to each to ensure our humility. No one receives the whole truth, but rather fragments of it. And I told them, but what is the concept? If the word itself says you will know the truth, not just a piece of it, you will know the truth and this makes you free. But then I have had ministers who have gone, they no longer dare to come close, but at first they used to come. And they said, Guy, we love you a lot, and I as well love you guys. Yes, but you are moving away from us. I believe I'm getting closer. You are the ones who are far off. Now please honestly point out my errors and show me where I have gone wrong. I want to thoroughly examine myself. Show me. Tell me one mistake. Well, man, it's not that. It's just that you see what happens is. But if you don't show me, how can you tell me you're wrong and not tell me why? And then I have to tell you that I'm wrong. What happens is that I feel that you are wrong. No, it's about clear speech, not feelings. I mean, those who have the ability to examine themselves, when you check yourself, you move ahead by looking at yourself. I have examined myself, and I have seen that the truth was revealed to me, and I speak truth from my lips. Only and absolutely the truth. There is no lie in me. Weakness is another matter, but I can assure you that I am not lying. No lie. In fact, I'll give my Rolex right now to anyone who proves to me that I'm lying. And then I correct myself. However, you must discover a falsehood that I have imparted to you. Yes, I even give him the car. Second letter to the Corinthians, chapters 2, verse 14. You know how good it feels when you know you are walking in the truth. Now, thanks be to God. Oh, you put it second. Although I like that one, let's read it and then put the first letter to the Corinthians. Who always, how often leads you in triumph? It's the brand of our car, Triumph. Okay, so now let's turn to the first letter to the Corinthians. I said second, yes? Why not? It's first chapter 2, verse 4. Look at what it says. 14. But the natural man. Oh, Father, that's where the problem lies. But the natural man does not receive. Oh, Father, he cannot see anything. He is blind. And if he's a shepherd, poor thing, he doesn't know what awaits him. He does not receive the things of the Spirit of God, for they. Imagine telling him that there is no sin, that there is no devil. But that's madness for him. That's why he fights you, as he is a natural shepherd. And he is unable to comprehend them. Look, he can't understand them. It's not that he doesn't want to, it's that he can't. You are demanding that your dog talk. He can make 1,000 funny faces, but he can't speak to you. He simply cannot. That shepherd is like an animal. Indeed, the original text states the animal man. However, this is the revised version which was changed because it is considered insulting to refer to someone as an animal, and they replaced it with the natural man. However, the old version, I have some versions, it says the man, the animal in English. The animal man, animal. It says, for they are foolishness to him, nor can he know them because they are how? On the other hand, now notice, but he who is spiritual judges all things, but he is not judged by anyone. When you judge spiritually, no one can judge you because it is in the spirit. And the spirit with the other spirit coordinate and say, it's true. It's just as you say. But the natural man won't understand. Now, how many animals will be in your house? I mean, how many natural men are there in your house? Animals with two legs, well-dressed, educated, doctors, lawyers. But they don't get it. Now, I'll tell you one thing. If you understand, you are blessed. If you get it, you are a beautiful person. Because you have been separated since the womb, they are leading you. You are loved by God. Yes, you will always possess that. Yes, the spiritual one is the one who has the mind of Christ. That's what he said, isn't it? Let's keep reading it. For who has known the mind of the Lord that he may instruct him? However, we have the mind of whom? Whose mind? Why does this ministry function as it does worldwide? And here we don't have meetings to make decisions. Here, we do not hold meetings to approve anything. You know why? Because the mind of Christ is my own mind. And it's the same mind you possess. So those of us who have the mind of Christ, immediately. Look, in this ministry, there are people of certain measures who say, look, Apostle, since I got here, I haven't had any questions. You say it, and that's the way it is. Now, those folks who are always thinking like they're in a lab, and this, and this, and this, what's the matter? Don't they have the mind of Christ? Because this is so easy to explain. I don't understand how anyone can have difficulty with this. Don't I make myself understood? Of course I make myself understood. He who has a natural mind is an animal, is in an animal state. The only thing is that it talks. It is a talking animal. Can add and subtract. He knows how to drive a car, but he's an animal. Hey, what information do we have here? Now, if you have the mind of Christ, mind is synonymous with spirit, is the spirit. And if you have the spirit of Christ, you are among those who are set apart. From the womb, they have been watching over you. And when you die, the mind of Christ never dies because that is Christ's spirit. And that spirit has the ability to simply change from an earthly state. It goes to a spiritual state where there is a very large city of spirits that you don't see. However, they are currently in full activity, who are listening to us right now. In fact, this is their favorite church. They listen to this. Will I have proof of that? Well, look, Paul says, whether in the body or out of the body, I know not, but I know a man in Christ who ascended to the third heaven, to paradise, and heard marvelous things. That's the place where they brought me to this ministry now, to that great place that because of my body, my human costume, I was not allowed. I was crazy to walk around and look. But it was only there, directly there. But it was a wonderful place. All that I could see, to the extent that I could see, was a wonderful place. Everything was perfection, everything I saw. The only thing is that I didn't go there to watch. I went there to listen. And from there, this ministry was born. This is the most wonderful thing that has ever happened to me. I was one of those animal shepherds. I was a Baptist animal. So ridiculous. Look, and among Baptist pastors, there is one who is better. But how ridiculous. I'd rather shoot myself than go back to one of those churches. I don't understand how some people can leave here. Hey, I've heard about folks who have left this place. So where are they? They turned to Catholicism. So where did he go? Well, he went back to that Pentecostal church, jumping and speaking in tongues. And I tell you, before I do something like that, I would shoot myself. Life isn't worth it. Heading to a fenced area of those Pentecostal animals, that's definitely an animal enclosure. There is indeed the animal sprawled out. Over there, the animals are leaping and making noise. I tell you. Wow. And I want to say one thing. I didn't study the Bible a lot before. I never did because I came from a very troubled life. I was attempting to read a chapter, and I read the first verse. However, when I reached the second one, I had to return to the first because I was unable to coordinate my thoughts. Hello? I seem to be communicating certain things with your experience. I wasn't able to do it. I've never read a book in my entire life. Just think about it. They protected my innocent little mind. I never read a book, never. I have never read anything about novels. What I used to read was about comics like Superman and Batman from my childhood. But I never read a book. I mean, I'm not a well-educated person. At school, I repeatedly failed my tests. Because I come from a home where there was a lot of suffering. My dad was an alcoholic. Children born in that environment suffer a lot. And then one is born like that. One is born troubled. And those things affect my outer man. I still have things that I realize come from childhood. Because the flesh is damaged as a child. That's why you have to treat your children very carefully. Because you are creating an environment for them which is what they will develop later on. So you have to be very careful with children. And then I was damaged. Imagine, I couldn't coordinate. I couldn't. The only thing I knew was that I was good at mathematics. I was good at it. And a bit in English, but very little. Because in Puerto Rico, it is mandatory to take English classes. That is part of the United States, and so we are taught English. But in the other classes, I couldn't coordinate, in none. I started this way in 8th grade. I skipped school. I loved to skip school. I would make up some huge lies, and I convinced my mom that everything was fine. And then my mother would notice it's just that I had a troubled mind. And so, when I finally reached the religious system, I would see those people reciting the Psalms from memory. You have seen those who say, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters." And I was like, woo, but how can they learn that by heart? And the Bible, I have never read it. There are people who tell me I've read it 4 times. Well, I've read it none. I've read a lot. I mean, I know the structure, you know. But to read it chapter by chapter as these biblical societies do, I don't. They tell you 1 chapter a day. That's just ridiculous. A daily chapter, when you reach the end of the year, you've completely forgotten all the other chapters you read. The Bible isn't studied this way. It's studied by themes. As we study it here, that's how you study the Bible. However, I couldn't. And then, well, I was a pastor of biblical verses. Well, the Psalm over there says, and in Corinthians I read this. And then I would go to James and read it. And then I would read Peter, John, Revelation. It was a mixture. And that's how I did it. Now look, because that is what marks this ministry. I don't know the Bible. However, the next day I wake up and I'm a theologian. How can you explain that I was ignorant of the scriptures, but by now, the next day, I know all about the depths of the Bible, and I tell people, who taught you that? Imagine, it was Jesus Christ himself speaking. And so the life of this ministry is like that. It is led by the Lord himself. Here, Jose Luis de Jesus does not play any role. That's why when I receive recognition, I don't know what to do. And I say, earth, swallow me up, because I feel like I haven't done anything. Well, blessed, what joy it has been to be with you all. It's been a joy.